Hello everyone, my name is Bella Thomas, and today I'm going to be speaking about the history of medication. Medicine has always been around, and it probably always will be. It has always been in different forms, and it has slowly become a more progressive thing, and it has gone through many different changes throughout the years. The first thing I would like to speak about is the FDA and what purpose it serves. It was created in 1906, and it was used to monitor drugs, and they were who were able to prescribe people drugs and give that away. The purpose of the FDA was to monitor medications. It was funded by the Treasury up until 1992, when there was a mass production of all of these medications, so it was a lot easier for people to get their hands on. But now the FDA just makes a profit off of each pill that is sold. They make a small profit off of everything. The next thing I would like to talk about is when medication changed into a pharmaceutical type of medication rather than just any other pill that you could just walk in and have prescribed to you. Here, especially in the United States, medicine did not become predominantly pharmaceutical until the 20th century, which began because of the opioid epidemic. It was too easy for people to get their hands on certain types of medicines that were being used for the wrong purpose, so they made it harder to get their hands on. Even today, pharmaceutical drugs are still being used to feed addiction, but it has become a lot harder to get your hands on, especially since so many people have begun to overdose. Now that we've talked about that, let's also talk about the history of medicine itself rather than just who is able to prescribe it and who is able to give it out. The original use of medicine was to combat pain. There was a very old doctor, I can't think of the exact time, he did a study of the brain and he found a nerve that reacts to certain pain. So he created medication to try and combat that pain. In the United States, it was in the 1900s that medication began to be seen more and more of a common thing because so many soldiers were in need of medication. Aspirin was the first type of medication for people to have prescribed, but the original medicine for soldiers was morphine because the aspirin was not enough to combat their pain. There is also a very big epidemic of people right now who are finding different things to take to combat pain because of the addiction that certain pharmaceuticals can cause. There are things like yoga and herbal medicine, things like that people have found help manage the pain at least. Even though you yourself might not be affected by pharmaceuticals and opioids, but one way or another, someone in your family is eventually going to need medication, and you yourself are able to watch how that affects their bodies. This is my final slide. It's a timeline of medication and throughout the years how it's become more progressive. You can see here, this was the first medication that was chemically processed rather than just them finding different ways to combat pain. This is the first time someone actually prescribed medicine. A doctor was the one in charge of prescribing medication. And over here we see the first mass production of pharmaceuticals rather than just the FDA being in charge of small doses. And then right here we see today where medication is important to be more customized to you rather than having to use one drug to combat all things. Thank you.